for Unite, Unite's a bit different to the other unions who've spoken because we're not a single industry union, and it's very, very diverse. Unite. I will list the sections. I think it's worth doing. Aerospace, automotive, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, civil air transport, youth and not-for-profit, docks, railways, ferries, education, energy, finance, food, drink and agriculture, engineering, manufacturing, steel, government, defence and prisons, graphical paper, media, health, local authorities, passenger transport, private sector services, road transport and construction. So it's very, very diverse and perhaps big and unwieldy. Perhaps also as a big union, maybe it's less responsive to the members than a smaller union. And there is a problem within Unite that Unite doesn't actually coordinate the strikes that we're running within the union, let alone with other unions. So having said that, Unite is not afraid of strikes. At the moment, we've got 40 on the go, and a while ago we had 100 on the go. So, it's all to do, the threshold thing has been a big problem in the health service. The health service is the biggest section of Unite, 100,000 members, and we didn't meet thresholds either. Then you read saying that the CHEP pallets dispute, quite a small employer in Manchester Trafford Park, big majority, 80% turnout, bang, you got a strike, they got a 14% pay rise. The best pay rise the union's got for anyone was a logistics company where the companies smashed the drivers' wages down. Then in this labour shortage condition, they came back with a 40% pay rise, 28%, not unknown. They just concluded, I think the Stagecoach, part of Stagecoach anyway, has got 12%. So the strike, I think that is a bit, it's come bring it baggage handlers. I think John's article points out the British Medical Association were quoting the pay rise run by the baggage handlers at BA. So nothing succeeds. Like I always say, if unions don't put money in people's pockets, the members won't listen to the union about anything else either. If you've done that, they'll listen to you about equalities, about politics and all the rest of it. So, where are we in Unite? Sharon Graham got elected in August 21. It's a massive shock to the bureaucracy of the union. It's very interesting because, like a lot of unions, there's sort of a united left, which is linked with the Communist Party historically, which is a very aging formation. So the united left, the Stalinists, if you like, had a candidate, which was Steve Turner, the continuity candidate. And we also had the old right, the Blairites in the union movement, which is Gerard Coyne in West Midlands, and he was standing. And then Sharon Graham was standing outside. She refused to seek the nomination of the United Left. I mean, easily more than half the people who attend United Left are retired, and about a quarter of them sell the Morning Star. So does it represent workers? It's been proven that it didn't. So Sharon stood independently, and the figures came back. The nominations told their own story. Sharon's nominations came from the active living parts of the union. Gerard Coyne's nominations came from the West Midlands, from well-paid engineering workers in the West Midlands mainly. And there's not many well-paid engineering workers left. So that old base of the right wing has kind of gone. Whip them up. No, we don't want any Reds in charge of our union. The old AEU playbook. It just, Gerard Coyne tried it. It didn't work. Most people just wonder what he was talking about. And then the United Left, you look at their nominations, they came from the branches which, they've probably got a distant relationship in any workplaces. They're just not workplace branches, maybe geographical branches. So Sharon won. It was a huge upset. The regional secretaries were all walking around in shock, and they still are. And that's a problem that Sharon's got, that she's won the top position, but the bureaucracy underneath is the same. And what was in Sharon's manifesto is very interesting. For instance, there's been a long-standing problem in Unite, because don't forget, we've merged with everyone virtually. So we merged with the WETPU, for example. Some of the officials of the WETPU were blacklisting good trade unions in the construction industry. They then found themselves employed in very well-paid jobs as officers of Unite. And the support group, who are good rank-and-file activists with Unite, have been campaigning for years now to have a proper inquiry into which union officers help keep people off building sites, all an anti-communist thing. And to be honest, the successive general secretaries protected them, and there must be that many bogus inquiries mouldering away in the dump down the bottom of the Unite headquarters. There's probably loads of them. There's been all sorts of inquiries done, then they never see the light of day, and it's all about protecting people till they can retire. So Sharon now set up a QC-led inquiry into collusion. I've seen the blacklist file of a friend of mine, Steve Aitchison. It says information received from Amicus official. it says. So it's there in black and white. So Sharon's got an inquiry into that. She's promised to set up combines, which our structures, they're called the RISCs, the Regional Industrial Sector Committees, and the NISCs, the National. A lot of them are so restricted, which is deliberate, of the old right wing to restrict the lay members to a straitjacket of committees. That a lot of them are very, very hollowed out, and some of them are even not quorate. So Sharon's solution to that is to have combines where any rep who wants to can attend. I'm very much in favour of that. In the health sector, the RISCs and the NISCs do function, but you see the minutes of RISC meetings, say the manufacturing or the chemical to pharmaceutical, the food and drink and tobacco RISC for the Northwest might have 3 people at it. So they're not helping. Whereas a combine could just bring together the reps who are locked out of the structures and bring them on board. And she's also promised to put some money towards the lay member structures, because 1/3 of the branches of Unite don't meet. 1/3 of officers over 65, and only 1/3 have enough officers of working age to function. And that's partly a function of modern life, but also it's the fact that under McCluskey, hardly any money was spent on the branches and hardly any resources given to them. So the same old problems remain. The first problem is officer overload. As they've whittled away and allowed the lay member structure to decay, and it happened under Derek Simpson, carried on under McCluskey and Woodley, that means there's no one to do the casework. So you get officers travelling around trying to do the casework. You don't need an officer to do the casework. The casework's all the same. Someone's alleged to have done something. There's 3 witnesses. What the witnesses say, bang. You don't need a highly paid professional to do half of them. They're just workplace disputes. But our officers spend a lot of time sitting in on those, and they don't. The problem for me is they don't build the union. I'm convener of a health trust with I have 1,000 members. So all our members' money goes into Unite and is then used to service these disparate people in shops and offices where there's no organisation. So we need to build organisation, obviously. So Sharon has promised to build the workplace structures, but so far there's little sign of it because of the old bureaucracy. Like, well, why would you do that? We're still getting paid. And that was the attitude on the McCluskey. I've said it to him that there's been criminal complacency at the top of our union, where the lay member structure decaying away, and as long as Len could give his friends good jobs and carry him collecting the subs, all was well. So what does Sharon need to do? And I was talking about the underfunding of the lay member structures. McCluskey's just won a libel action against the Daily Mirror because an unnamed Labour Party source said McCluskey's bankrupted the union. So McCluskey proudly said, when I took over, there's £50 million in the bank. Now there's £500 million in the bank. But the reason he's got that money is he hasn't spent any on the branches. And even a trade union official said to me, what's the point of a union that doesn't spend money on its own branches and lay members? It's like self-fulfilling. In fact, you could argue it's bureaucracy for bureaucracy's sake. I'm glad he's won his libel action, but when in his tweet, he more or less convicts himself of underfunding the lay member structures, which then leads to all sorts of other problems. The organisers, we always have a big beef in the health sector. The Unison flood a hospital with organisers who are paid, 25 grand a year, and they go around and sign up loads of members. And the Unison Modern Hospital is absolute genius. We could go into it another time. Whereas our organisers are put onto targeted campaigns like automation or like... they were going to unionise Crossrail, weren't they? That was what they set themselves a target of. So they're not. I think the reps would want them used a different way to what they are used. There's been worrying signs of sort of a syndicalist or abstentionist attitude from Sharon. We'll have to find out. But for instance, we have 2 places in the Labour Party national executive, but seemingly one of them has fallen vacant, and we've only filled one of them now. Yet we pay £1 million. Well, I've been investigating. We pay about £1 million a year into the Labour Party. So we should have 2 people in the NEC. And the attitude's like, well, it's a waste of time anyway, because you just get outvoted by Starmer and the GMB. But it's not a waste of time. They could do more with that. And, the Labour Party, the talk, isn't there, of Unite disaffiliating. Sharon did convene a meeting with the left MPs, the Socialist Campaign Group, and her question to them is, why aren't you speaking up? Why aren't you speaking about the Coventry Bins dispute, where Labour Council has victimised a union rep and is not trying fight against a pay rise for the bin men in Coventry. And they said, if we stuck up for the Coventry bin men, we'd lose the whip. So at that point, Sharon terminated the meeting. Her attitude being, what's the point? But perhaps a better tactic would say, you can speak up in support of our members in Coventry, and they won't take the whip off you. Obviously, Starmer has said, if you criticise NATO, will take the whip off you. If you think bombing Gaza to smithereens is a mistake, they will take the whip off you. But he wouldn't dare do it for supporting the Coventry bin workers. There's a sign of timidity even in the Socialist Campaign Group, which Unite of all people is well placed to deal with. And then you come to coordinated action and disaggregation. Now, the first step would be for Unite to coordinate action within itself. And even in our region, Stagecoach and Arriva buses are on strike on different days. So and also in the past, the Sext used to call on McCluskey to call a general strike. And if the audience was right, he'd go, yeah, I believe in a general strike, because it's easy, because it's never going to happen. So once at the conference, I asked McCluskey, why didn't he coordinate action? And he was a bit stuck then, to be honest, because it was within his powers to coordinate action. The model of coordinated action is when Bob Crow called out London Underground on the same day as the FBU were on strike in London, if you remember back to that. And there was chaos, the Tory press were frothing at the mouth, there was nothing they could do. That was when they tried to they tried to fire and rehire the entire London Fire Brigade, if you remember. And then it was discovered the London Fire Brigade doesn't even own their own fire engines. They've all been leased out to a company called Asset Co. It's a very bitter strike, but the FBU beat them off, actually, and the fire and rehire was withdrawn. We need to coordinate action, and I'll do what I can to, of course, being in the health sector, we're different. We are a single industry section, if you like. Our employer is the NHS. The other sectors, you've got Stagecoach, Arriva and First Bus, and all the rest of them, and they could coordinate. And we should coordinate, I always think we should say, if we have strikes, we'll have them on Thursday, or if we have strikes, we'll have them on the 19th of the month. And then everyone else at the 19th of the month all pile in. I think that's how May Day was organised back in the day. And then the other debate we had a big debate at our NISC in Durham, because just like Dave Niven was talking about with the PCS, we didn't reach the 50% last year, but some of the ambulance trusts reached 48, 49%. There's bright spots. When it didn't happen, the activists in the ambulance service could then get frustrated and say, everyone else is holding us back, we'd take action. But them lot, those lazy toads, they're not helping us. So there's been a big debate about disaggregation. Came to the Unite Local Authority sector, where they ran some disaggregated ballots and it worked. So now the health sector is going to go into disaggregated ballots, but also it's quite clever. Instead of just having disaggregated pay ballots, we're going to link it to local grievances. So in the ambulance trusts, the grievance might be pay. It's like what David Niven was talking about. It might be pay, plus it might be the fact that they get sat in queues outside hospitals for, the record is 30 hours, I believe, but it's not uncommon for crews to go out, clock on, and spend 8 hours back of an ambulance in a hospital car park. You link it to that as a grievance. So that's a cunning tactic, I think, and may well work. Then the people who want to take action won't feel themselves being held back by the weaker sections, and the weaker sections will involve themselves seeing what can be done.